Hello friends, in this session we'll talk about the Constituent Assembly of India. In this lecture we'll discuss the important things regarding the Constituent Assembly of India. Before discussing Constituent Assembly of India, we must understand what is Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly is an assembly, or you can say group of members associated for drafting the Constitution of India, right? Actually, this Constituent Assembly, or you can say the idea of Constituent Assembly, for the first time came in 1934. This is the first thing you have to remember. In 1934, a communist leader, you can say M.N. Roy gave the idea of Constituent Assembly. The idea of Constituent Assembly for the first time was conceived by M.N. Roy in 1934, right? In 1935, Indian National Congress officially demanded Constituent Assembly. Or you can say Indian National Congress in 1935 demanded that there must be a Constituent Assembly for writing the Constitution of India, right? So this is most important dates you have to remember, important events, years you can say. In 1938, another event took place. Pandit Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru said that there must be a constitution for India without private, or you can say outside interference. That means you can say India needs a sovereign constitution, own constitution, right? So in 1934, the idea of Constituent Assembly came by M.N. Roy. In 1935, Indian National Congress officially demanded for this Constituent Assembly. In 1938, Nehru said that India must have a constitution without outside interference. This is the point you have to remember. And finally, in 1940, the demand for Constituent Assembly. In 1940, the demand for Constituent Assembly was accepted by, you can say, a Cabinet Mission Plan, right? The Cabinet Mission Plan finally accepted, which is, you can say, in 1948, when it was accepted, it is called August Offer, right? August Offer. Let me explain again. In 1940, the demand for Constituent Assembly was accepted, which is known as August Offer, right? Now, after that, Cabinet Mission in its scheme or features or act, you can say, provided for the Constituent Assembly. This is the point you have to remember. Let me repeat once again. In 1934, M.N. Roy gave the idea, clear. In 1935, Indian National Congress officially demanded for Constituent Assembly to write Constitution, to draft Constitution of India. In 1938, Jawaharlal Nehru demanded that there should be a constitution without interference by other countries or nations or forces, right? And this demand was accepted, which is known as August Offer. And finally, Cabinet Mission, in its features, gave a concrete step for the Constituent Assembly. This is the important events or dates you can say you should remember for exam point of view, right? Now we'll talk about the composition of Constituent Assembly. You see, at that time, British was ruling India, right? And for every million people, one seat was reserved, and the Constituent Assembly was partly elected and partly nominated, right? And the election procedure was by means of single transferable vote, by proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. You have to remember the keyword. The election was held for the Constituent Assembly, right, by proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. This is the procedure you should remember. Here is the composition, means how the members were elected, from which area, how many members elected, right? You have to remember. Composition is very simple. Their total member 389, and out of 389, 296 were from British India and 93 from princely states, right? And out of 296, 292 were from 11 governors provinces and 4 from chief commissioners provinces. There were 4 chief commissioners provinces, say Delhi, Ajmer, Kurg, and Balochistan. Actually, British Balochistan, right? So you should remember total member 389, 296 from British India, right? 93 from princely states, and out of 296, 292 from 11 governors provinces and 4 from chief commissioners provinces, Delhi, Ajmer, Kurg, and Balochistan. Here you have to remember, in reality, when the Constituent Assembly sat for the first time on 9th December 1946, this was the first meeting, right? This was the first meeting, you can say first meeting. On the very day, first meeting, only 211 members were present at that meeting, right? But the total target was 389. But however, you can say in the original meeting, the first meeting, 211 members were only present at that point of discussion or in the assembly, right? So this is the point you have to remember. Now we talk about important personalities or persons associated with the Constituent Assembly, right? One is Sachidananda Sinha, who was eldest member, right? Eldest member Sachidananda Sinha, who was temporary president. Sachidananda Sinha was temporary president of Constituent Assembly. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was president of the Constituent Assembly, right? Later he became also the president of India, right, in 1952. S.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari were vice president, right? Vice president. And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was chairman of drafting committee. Actually, there are important committees we will discuss here. So one thing is that B.R. Ambedkar, who is called father of Indian Constitution, because why he is called father of Indian Constitution, let me explain. Because he was chairman of drafting committee. There are so many committees: steering committee, house committee, you can say even also Union Powers Committee, Fundamental Rights Committee. Minor committees also you will find in the Constituent Assembly. But for exam point of view, you should remember important committees. And one of the important committee is your drafting committee, right? Dr. Ambedkar was chairman of drafting committee. So Ambedkar is called father of Indian Constitution. Father of Indian Constitution. Or you can say Manu of Indian Constitution, right? So drafting committee chairman Ambedkar, Union Powers Committee Nehru, Union Constitution Committee Nehru, Steering Committee Rajendra Prasad. There are so many committees inside the Constituent Assembly. But for exam point of view, you should remember these 4 important committees. I hope you got this point. Let me explain one important thing. The total time taken for writing or drafting the Constitution of India was, you can say, total time taken for drafting constitution, 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. 2 years, 11 months, 18 days, and approximately 64 lakhs were spent on writing, drafting the Constitution of India. This is the point you have to remember. Another thing is that this Constituent Assembly sat for 11 times. So 11 times. Total sittings 11 times. First sitting 9th December 1946, 211 members were present at that time. So these are the things you have to remember for exam point of view. I'll tell one important concept here also, that objective resolution. You see, objective resolution. What is objective resolution? Objective resolution was passed by Pandit Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, on 13th December 1946. Right? So you have to remember, this is very, very important. On you can say objective resolution, a resolution set of principles which was passed by Nehru in the Constituent Assembly on 13th December 1946. Actually, what is objective resolution? Objective resolution means the philosophy, or you can say the purpose of writing, drafting the Constitution for India, the objective of Constitution. These are the things which we call objective resolution, right? It was moved by Nehru on 13th December 1946, and it was accepted by Constituent Assembly on 22nd Jan 1947. Right? And this objective resolution became later on the preamble, preface, or the introduction to the Constitution of India. So objective resolution became preamble to the Constitution of India later on. So these are the things you have to remember for exam point of view. So I hope you got the basic ideas about the Constituent Assembly. And if you repeat this lesson, definitely you will get insights about the Constituent Assembly. I hope you got this point. Thank you very much. Wish you happy learning. Thank you.